Hello, welcome to the Unit 4 test corrections. So our first question is asking us to find the missing number to make the equivalent fractions. So for these, we need to find out how we got from one denominator to our second denominator. And for this situation, we said 2 times 5 equals 10. And what we did to the denominator, we did to the numerator as well. And 1 times 5 is 5. Same thing here. We said 2 times 9 equals 18. Do the same thing to our denominator. And we get 27. 6 times 2 equals 12. And so this time we have to do 10 divided by 2 because we have to do backwards. So that's going to be 5. And to double check that, I'm going to say 5 times 2 equals 10. And then for the last one, it's 4 times 3 equals 12. And then 3 times 3 equals 9. For the next part, simplify the following fractions, reduce if possible. So for this one, I'm going to start with my numerator and denominator and say 5 goes into 6 one time. There's 1 left over, and 5 remains our denominator. They can't be simplified any further. They don't have any common factors. 4 goes into 5 one time. There is 1 remainder, and 4 is our denominator still. 3 goes into 7 2 times with 1 left over, and 3 is our denominator. And again, they can't be simplified. 6 goes into 10 one time with 4 left over, and 6 is our denominator. We have to continue on because 4 and 6 have a common 2, a factor of 2. So when we do that, our answer is 1 2/3. Now we're looking at comparing fractions. And so for this, I'm going to find, we can do cross multiplication, but we didn't really talk about that in class. So I'm just going to find a common denominator for 5 and 6. And I'm going to go with 30. And we got from 5 to 30 by multiplying by 6. I'm going to do the same thing to my numerator. And we did 6 times 5 to get to 30, so I'm going to do that to the numerator. So as we can tell, 50/30ths is larger than 36/30ths. Over here, I am going to this time do a similar process. I'm going to compare them to 100. So 4 went into 100 25 times. 25 went into 104 times. So I can see that they barely, they were really close. Another strategy you can do if you're interested when you're comparing fractions is to do cross multiplication. 25 times 1 is 25, and 4 times 6 is 24, and then we can see that that's larger. Over here, 6 times 6 is 36, 5 times 10 is 50, and we can see that 50 is larger than 36. Another strategy. Alright, the next one is to list these fractions in order, in ascending order, so that means going from low to high. And what I would do is I would first, think about benchmarks. I'm looking at these fractions, and if I'm thinking about 0, 1/2, and 1 whole as our benchmarks, I know from looking at these that all of these fractions are larger than half except for this one. Now obviously that one is half, so that's going to be my smallest one. So my next one, I'm looking at 2/3, 4/5, 3/4, and 3/5. And so if I'm looking at these, I know that 3/5 is smaller than 4/5. So I'm going to put 3/5 down here, and I'm going to put 4/5 to the right of it because I know that's larger. But I don't know where these two fit in. So I'm going to have to do a little bit of work to figure that out. You can turn them into decimals if you're interested. I know that 2/3 is the same as 0.66 repeating. And if you didn't know that already, you could have done 2 divided by 3 and found the decimal that way. And that would be, 666 repeating. You could also find a common denominator. I think that's going to be the easiest solution, the quickest for us right now. So I'm going to look at 3, 4, and 5 just to make it go ahead and knock it out. And I think looking at these, 60 is going to be a common denominator. I don't know if it's, hopefully it's the smallest. And so 3 went into 60 20 times. So that's going to be 40. 5 goes into 60 12 times. So 4 times 12 is 48. 4 goes into 60 15 times. So 3 times 15 is 45. 5 goes into 60 again 12 times. So 3 times 12 is 36. So with this, I can tell that my next smallest number is my 36/60ths, which is my 3/5. So I need to move this one all the way over here actually. Actually, I'm going to just erase that. Okay, so then my next one is 40/60ths, which was my 2/3. My next one was 45/60ths, which was 45/60ths, which was my 3/4. And then my last one was my 48/60ths, which was my 4/5. So that one was there correctly. Alright, so the next one's adding, subtracting, multiplying, or dividing the following fractions, simplifying and reducing when possible. I'm going to go ahead and turn these into improper fractions. So 6 times 7 is 42, plus 1 is 43. So 43 times 7, or over 7, times 8 plus 3 is 11 fourths. And when I use my calculator, I get 43 times 11, which is 473, divided by 28. And then I'm going to divide, to simplify, I'm going to divide 473 divided by 28, and that's going to be 16 times. 16 times 28 is 448. So now I'm going to find out the leftovers. Minus. So 473 minus 448 is 25 as a leftover and 28 as my denominator. And 25 and 28 don't have anything in common. So that is my final answer. The next one, I'm going to find a common denominator with 5 and 10. So it's going to be 8 and 8/10, because I'm going to multiply by 2, plus 8 and 1/10. So this is going to be 16 and then 9/10. My next one, I've got 3 and 7 as a denominator, so they have a 21 in common. So I'm going to do 1 and so now I've got 1 and 14 21st, subtract 9 21st. So that's going to be 1 and 5 21st, just simple subtraction there. Moving on, we have, again, order of operations. So we're doing our parentheses first, and we need to find a common denominator with 14 as our denominator, because that's what they have in common, the least common multiple. And that's still in parentheses. So then now I can do 5 plus 2 is 7. 7 plus 10 is 17/14, minus 3/28. And I could go ahead and simplify this. I think I am. I'm going to go ahead and simplify this right now to be 8 and 3/14. So now I need to find a common denominator for 14 and 28, and that's going to be 28. So it's going to be 8 and 6 28ths minus 3 28ths. So that is going to be 8. Okay. All right, the next question is find the total width of 3 boards that are 1 3/4 inches wide, 7/8 inches wide, and 1 1/2 inches wide. So total width of 3, so that means I'm going to add these together. So I have 1 3/4, 7/8, and 1 1/2. And looking at my denominators, I have 4, 8, and 2, so I can find a common denominator of 8. So 4 times 2 equals 8. This one doesn't have to be changed because it's already good to go. This one does have to be changed to be a common denominator. So that's going to be 6 plus 7 plus 4, so 6 and 4 is 10, plus 7 is 17/8 plus 2. And this has got to be simplified and reduced. So 8 goes into 17 2 times. So 2 wholes plus these 2 is 4 wholes, and there's 1 left over. So it's going to be 4 1/8 inches wide. Okay. Next one, a 7 1/1500 H tire is 6 5/8 inches wide, and a 7.15 C tire is 4 3/4 inches wide. What is the difference in their widths? So it's just a simple subtraction problem. Don't let the tire mess you up. That's just there for information. I don't even know what kind of tire that is. So just know that it's 2 different tires. We want to know how much difference their widths are. So I've got 6 5/8 minus 4 3/4. So again, 8 is going to be my common denominator. Whoops, not 6. Okay. And then, so times 2, excuse me. So this time we're a little bit different situation because we can't subtract 5 minus 6. So we're going to have to borrow a hole from our holes over here. So I need to borrow an inch. So this is going to be 5. And since our denominator is 8, I'm going to add on 8 more to this one for a total of 13. So now it's 13 minus 6, which is 7/8. And then 5 minus 4 is 1. So it's 1 7/8 inches different as our answer for that one. Number 18, a radio station plays 2 songs in a row. The first song lasts 3 1/8 minutes. The second song lasts 2 5/6 minutes. How much longer is the first song than the second one? So again, this is a subtraction problem because we have one that lasts this amount, and this one is a different amount, so we need to subtract them. So we have 3 1/8 minus 2 5/6. And so with 8 and 6, the common denominator is going to be 24. So 8 times 3 is 24. And 6 times 4 is 24, so 5 times 4 is 20. So again, I have another situation where I have to borrow because I don't have enough in my numerator to subtract. I've got to borrow a whole. A whole this time is 24. So it's going to be 24 plus 3, which is 27. So 27 minus 7 is 7/24, and there's no wholes to subtract. So I accepted 7/24 minutes longer. And so this is less than a minute, way less than a minute, because a whole minute would be 24/24. So this is only a couple of seconds longer, and I didn't make you convert that, so there you go. Number 19, Lisa had some wood that was 12 1/2 feet long. She cut it into 5 equal pieces. How long is each piece of wood? So for this type of problem, we know that our hole is 12 1/2 feet long, and she wants to make 5 groups, equal groups. So I know it's going to be a division problem. So it's going to be 12 1/2 divided by 5. I'm going to go ahead and make my first fraction into an improper fraction. So 12 times 2 is 24 plus 1 is 25. 25 halves. And when I'm doing my division for the quickness of the algorithm, we're just going to go ahead and do the multiply by the reciprocal. So we're going to multiply by the reciprocal of 5, which is going to be 1/5. Remember, the reciprocal, it was like that, and the reciprocal is multiplying by the opposite. So 25 times 1 is 25. 2 times 5 is 10. And when we simplify that, 10 goes into 25 2 times with 5/10 left over, and we have to simplify that to be 2 and 1/2. And going back to find our unit, it's going to be 2 1/2 feet long. So that's going to be each piece is 2 1/2 feet long. All right, number 20, Alice, Beth, and Carly had 6 2/9 bags of M&Ms. If they divided the M&Ms equally, how much does each girl get? So we have 3 girls, Alice, Beth, and Carly. So we're going to divide the M&Ms 6 2/9 bags divided by 3. I'm going to make this an improper fraction again. 54 plus the 2 is 56. And again, I'm going to multiply by the reciprocal. So 3 over 1, and multiplying is 1/3. So that's going to be 56 over 27. I know that 27 goes into 56. Looks like it goes in there twice with 2 left over, and 27 is our denominator. So I know it sounds weird, but the answer is 2 2/27 bags of M&Ms. Alright, next one. Devin, Allison, and Eric ordered pizzas to eat while they watched a movie. Each of them ate 3/5 of a pizza. How many total pizzas did they eat? So for this one, we're given part and a part, and we have to find out what the total is. So that's multiplication. And I know we have Devin, Allison, and Eric, so that's 3 people, each eating 3/5 of the pizza, of a pizza. So I'm going to go ahead and put a 1 as a denominator because we can, that's our understood denominator. 3 times 3 is 9. 5 times 1 is 5. 5 goes into 9 one time with 4/5 left over. So they ate 1 4/5 pizzas. I also accepted if you said they ate 2 pizzas, because you can't buy 1 4/5 pizzas. So if you said 2 pizzas and you did the work, I gave you credit for it. All right, Johnny spent 3/4 of an hour working on homework. He spent 5/6 of that time working on a math assignment. What fraction of an hour did he spend working on the math? So this time we have the kid he's got 3/4 of the hour that he's working on homework. Of that 3/4, he spent 5/6 of this time. So that's multiplication, because I want to find what 5/6 of 3/4 of an hour is. So basically 5/6 of 45 minutes is what 3/4 is, if you just, were curious. So when I do this, it's 3 times 5 is 15. 4 times 6 is 24. A lot of you lost half credit because you left it in this form and didn't simplify. 15 and 24 have a greatest common factor of 3. So we have to simplify this. So my final answer is 5/8 of an hour So this means that Johnny spent a little over 30 minutes working on the math homework. So I'm not too far off on my assignments, right? All right, next one. Dry goods are sold in units called pecks and bushels. 1 peck equals 1/4 of a bushel. If Peter picks 5.5 bushels of peppers, how many pecks of peppers did Peter pick? All right, so for this one, since we have a total and I want to find how many groupings are in that, that's a division problem. So we have 5.5 bushels of peppers, and 1 peck is 1/4 of the bushel. So I'm going to divide by 1/4 to see how many 1/4 servings are in this. So I'm going to do 5 times 2 is 10 plus 1 is 11. So I'm going to convert this into an improper fraction and rewrite the problem. Well, now when we divide fractions, we multiply by the reciprocal. So our first fraction stays the same, the dividend stays the same, and our divisor is going to be the reciprocal. So we have 11 times 4 is 44. 2 times 1 is 2. And when we simplify that, we get 22. And we go back to our question is how many pecks of peppers. So it will be 22 pecks of peppers. So this means that there are 22 1/4 servings basically in the 5.5 bushels. And if you made it this far and you are still listening to this video, come whisper in my ear in the next day or two whenever you do the recording, and whisper Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers, and you will get 2 extra points added to your test for listening to this all the way through. So congrats, and don't tell anyone else. Keep it between you and I, please. Thanks, and have a good night.